Hello, I'm Maria Encinosa from the University of North Florida. I'm going to give you a very brief overview of my research this year, but please feel free to ask any and all questions that you have at any point during viewing my poster. So, my research begins with the COVID-19 pandemic, which has disproportionately affected minorities, especially indigenous and black populations. And clearly, there are several factors behind this disparity, including limited access to healthcare, socioeconomic status, and the tendency for minority populations to have COVID-19 comorbidities, which are other health conditions that put one at greater risk of dying if they contract the virus. In discussions of why minorities are more likely to have these comorbidities, attention often turns to how minorities have genetic predispositions to things like diabetes or lung issues. And indeed, evidence does suggest that aspects of these conditions can be heritable. Yet, racial categories have little genetic significance. Current racial groups are primarily social constructions above all else. So, what then explains this heritability? In my research, I propose that epigenetics has the potential to explain how racialized social experiences physically manifest as these comorbidities, and I apply two main theories. So, embodiment suggests that we incorporate aspects of our physical and social worlds into our bodies. And epigenetics is a study of changes beyond the nucleotide sequence of DNA that affect gene expression, without touching any of those A, C, G's, and T's that make up the core of our DNA code. Yet the epigenome can be changed by environmental factors, and since epigenetic modifications can be heritable, epigenetics can thus explain how certain traits can be passed down and embodied intergenerationally. So I explored this topic through an extensive research journal article under the mentorship of Dr. Pfister, a medical anthropologist at my university. Although traditional face to face ethnographic methods were unavailable due to pandemic conditions, anthropology at its core is the study of society, and the sheer scale of the pandemic, paired with the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement, meant that these issues of race and health, these were being discussed everywhere. Consequently, I analyzed sources not only from academic journals, but popular media and Zoom webinars as well. In my findings, I highlight that we live in a racialized environment where minorities are more likely to be subject to things like police brutality, chronic discrimination, food insecurity, premature birth, and pollutants. And these experiences are linked to epigenetic modifications that are likewise associated with the development of comorbidities. This includes metabolic disorders like diabetes and obesity, respiratory disorders, and the stress and trauma that depress our immune systems. The end cumulative result is a heightened risk of becoming severely affected by COVID-19 and dying. What I find striking about uncovering the epigenetic links behind COVID-19 is that these links can be passed down for up to three generations, showing that the past experiences of our ancestors continue to affect us today. And it shows that it isn't enough that things like mass genocides or lynchings aren't commonplace anymore. To achieve even a semblance of health equity means that we have to address social determinants of health, like food insecurity and stress, that are slow acting but just as violent. It is unacceptable that from the moment of birth, you might already be predisposed to an illness like COVID 19. But this is where I want to be very careful about avoiding tired narratives of victimization, because nothing about these epigenetic predispositions is innate. The epigenome's plasticity means that it can be changed for the better, and that measures to improve minority environments will be felt for generations.